The following is a paid program.
About alligators in a lagoon. And we know what they mean. I planted rice in the lagoon with my grandparents and my parents, and many of you did. But you see, the waters that wash down from the hills of Laventille, across the land from Mayaro, from the east, all the rivers that join together, they bring the greatest civilizations on the earth here together in Trinidad and Tobago. And when you speak of alligators in a lagoon, I call on Dr. Rowley to condemn or to say whether he agrees with the statement made by, I think, his candidate, Hines. This man is talking about alligators in a lagoon. And you know, I want to know what is Dr. Rowley's comment, and someone must ask him that. Does he agree with that statement? You see, in this country, I said already, the greatest civilizations are found here, merged and joined together. The Ganges meet in the Nile. Right here in Trinidad and Tobago. One third of our population, 1/3, that is 1 in every 3, 1/3 of the population of this land is of mixed ethnic origin. So when you talk about alligators in a lagoon, are you saying to all those of mixed descent that they must deny their ancestry? That they must deny half of them or 1/3 of them? This country is no longer a land of one race. It is a land of many races blended together in harmony. I can see you. I can see you where I stand tonight. And I can see the Ganges and the Nile flowing in your blood because I can see all the Douglas. I can see all the Cocopayo. I can see all of you mixed together, which is what makes Trinidad and Tobago the great nation that we are. So do not disrespect, do not dishonor any race, any creed, or any religion in our land. You see, he never condemned the Calcutta ship in Tobago when the comment was made, and I call upon him today. Dr. Rowley, tell us, what is your comment about alligators in the lagoon? And if you cannot answer that, you will lose 1/3 of the population of Trinidad and Tobago. And another third, and you will lose all of the population of our land.
If you still undecided, that come like if you're in a ring with gloves and a big strong heavyweight coming at you, and you making up your mind whether to put up a guard. Something is happening. We have seen the government, but I was under no illusion. I watching them since 1995. And in May 2010, when I saw Kamla Prasad Bisesa as Prime Minister, when I saw she chose Anand Ramlogan as Attorney General, when I saw Suraj Rambachan, when I saw Devant Mirage. And when I saw Arnold Roberts, I knew trouble was on the horizon. I wasn't expecting nothing else. That is a recipe for mayhem and confusion and trouble for Trinidad and Tobago. I knew it was impending disaster. That is the leadership she provides. That is why she can't tell none of them nothing. And all of them is alligator from the same murky lagoon.
7 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. Let me say a pleasant good evening to all and sundry. Good evening to all citizens of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome, welcome to the election platform with yours truly, the Gladiator. Citizens of the Republic, it was last Friday as I peruse the daily newspapers, looking through the headlines, reading the stories, and going through the commentary from the newspapers' columnists. What interested me, the Gladiator, was the commentary written by Dr. Sheila Rampersad last Friday in the Daily Express on page 13. And I read over the article about 3 times, and I must say it was cleverly written. I must also say, if there was any area that can be deemed libelous or defamatory, I as a layman was unable to discover such. And it is based on my little knowledge on the law of defamation. And today's Gladiator's editorial would be based on the headline of that commentary written by Sheila Rampersad. Though she might not be responsible for the headline, the editor-in-chief might be the person responsible for the headline. But I choose to use that headline in my editorial today. And the headline of my editorial today, entitled, "Have You Had Sex with Her?" The candidate was Gary Hart, husband and father. The year was 1987. The allegations that he was a womanizer who, right at that moment, had a young blonde woman in his room. The same woman photographed sitting on his lap aboard a yacht named Monkey Business at Miami's Tomberry's Isles Resort. Frequented by beautiful women, rich, powerful men, many of them involved in drug business. Tom Fielder, Miami Herald, in brackets. One journalist asks, who this woman in the house? And have you had sex with her? Question. The question marked a moment in America's political journalism that changed both politics and journalism. And it is in the vortex of that moment created 28 years ago on a Washington alley with a presidential candidate back literally against a brick wall. In the almost 3 decades since Hart withdrew from the presidential campaign, there has been much academic reflection and newsroom soul searching about media's entry into private lives of politicians. It is generally accepted now that personal background, close examination of politicians' past, and how those pasts might affect their present and future are acceptable areas of media scrutiny. Full stop. Under the Sexual Offense Act, a minor is a person under the age of 18 years. The Act sets out specific offense which deals with any form of sexual abuse which may have been committed against a minor by an adult. A man who has sexual intercourse with a girl under the age of 14 years commits an offense, and if found guilty, is liable to a sentence of life imprisonment. It is not relevant whether the young girl consented to the intercourse or if the man was unaware that the girl was under 14 years of age. A man who has sexual intercourse with a young girl between the age of 14 and 16 years may be liable to imprisonment for 12 years. Under this category, the man may not be found guilty if, subparagraph 1, he honestly believed the girl to be 16 years of age, or he is not more than 3 years older than the girl, and the court forms the view that he was not wholly to blame. It is an offense for a woman to have sexual intercourse with a young male under the age of 16 years. It is also generally understood that the character issue is not going to disappear from the media and public radar, and that when people run for public office, they implicitly approve entry into areas of their private lives that could only reasonably remain private while they were private citizens. The guiding principle for journalists is no longer whether private lives of politicians should be scrutinized by the media, but are the areas being scrutinized germane, relevant to the subject? In other words, I turn to a very important area, and I want to quote for the listening public a statement made by the opposition leader, Dr. Keith Rowley, on the 26th of April, 2013. When you are in public life, you are not immune to allegations. In fact, you attract allegations. You cannot help that. It is part for the cause. It is part of the vineyard in which we labor. Full stop. However, How we respond to these allegations is what is going to determine who we are, what we are, and whether, in fact, the allegations have been properly dealt with. Full stop. Even if the allegations are frivolous, once you hold office, you are duty-bound to respond, and to respond effectively and truthfully. Full stop. Our people are not unreasonable. Our people, in fact, like to defend the underdog. And if allegations are made against you, they give you the opportunity to clear your name, not only in the court of law, but in the court of public opinion, sometimes to a fault. Full stop. I've also read the article yesterday, Monday, in the Daily Express, The Private Lives of Public People by Michael Harris. So, citizens of the Republic, in this editorial, I will not beat around the bush, but in this editorial, it relates to a public figure, a person who is in public life, and that person is no other person but the opposition leader and political leader, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. It's on the PNM website, where to this day there have been no alteration or amendment to the contents of an article published on the PNM's or the People's National Movement website. And permit me to read the first paragraph, citizens of the Republic. Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley was born on October the 24th, 1949 in Mason Hall, Tobago, and was raised by his grandparents, who were prominent Tobago farmers. Dr. Rowley is married to attorney-at-law Sharon Rowley. They have two daughters, Tonya, who's an attorney-at-law, and Sonel, a postgraduate student, both of whom won national scholarships. And I wish to say congratulations to the two daughters of Dr. Keith Rowley. Go further in a quote. And you know, today I'm going to open up the lines very early because I have a question coming up here. And let me quote Dr. Rowley again. When you are in public life, you are not immune to allegations. In fact, you attract allegations, according to Dr. Rowley. You cannot help that. It is part for the cause. It is part of the vineyard in which we labor. However, how we respond to this allegation is what going to determine who we are, what we are, and whether in fact the allegations have been properly dealt with. There have been numerous allegations of the political leaders past. Numerous allegations. It was an allegation that he has a son by the name of Gat Allen. To this day, he have not taken out any legal action against anyone and sued them for libel or defamation for accusing him of having a son by the name of Gat Allen. But the issue is not Dr. Rowley having a son by the name of Gat Allen. The pertinent aspect of the allegation is how Gat Allen came into existence. But not that. We go further, and I go in line with the statement by Dr. Sheila Rampersad. When people run for public office, they implicitly approve entry into areas of their private lives that can only remain private while they were private citizens. Dr. Keith Rowley is not a private citizen, and I want the listening public to understand that. He may go throughout the length and breadth of this country. At the end of the day, Dr. Keith Rowley is not a private citizen. If he steps down from being a candidate for Diego Martin West and he say goodbye to public life, he then becomes a private citizen. The question, as how Sheila Rampersad said, have you had sex with her? And this is the label of my editorial today. Have you had sex with her? And the person I'm referring to is Rosalind Allen. The question is, have you had sex with Rosalind Allen? This is what you have to answer, Dr. Keith Rowley. And it is a very pertinent question, because it's an allegation. And if the answer is yes, the question again, the follow-up question is, at what age did you have sex with Rosalind Allen? If there was a relationship between Dr. Keith Rowley and Rosalind Allen, for us to continue in our scrutiny of this public office holder who holds the position of opposition leader of the lower house of parliament, and who has an aspiration to become the next prime minister of this country, then the question is, how many times you had sex with Rosalind Allen? And I want to remind people, Dr. Keith Rowley is no longer a private citizen. He is in public life. And let me just give people the numbers here, because I'm going to pose this question here. And the numbers for you to start calling in, 222-8255, because, you know, I can go on at length with my editorial or ad infinitum. On Friday the 26th, 2013, this is what Dr. Rowley said in the lower house of Parliament, and let me quote it. If a man was known to be a pedophile 2 years ago, his presence today in the kindergarten class is not acceptable. And that's what Tommen. He might think so, but we cannot be encouraged to accept that yesterday was yesterday and today's concerns are out of place, full stop. Let me just read it over again. This is what Dr. Rowley have to say in the lower house of Parliament. And I'm quoting here black and white. If a man was known to be a pedophile 2 years ago, his presence today in the kindergarten class is not acceptable. He might think so, but we cannot be encouraged to accept that yesterday was yesterday and today's concerns are out of place, full stop. And that's where my question to the listening public is at. Do you agree, to the listening public, and the lines are open, do you agree to Dr. Rowley's statement that if a man was known to be a pedophile 2 years ago, his presence today in the kindergarten class is not acceptable, full stop? Do you believe and do you accept Dr. Rowley's statement? Do you accept it? The lines are open. 222-8255. These are the questions to the listening public today.
Good evening,
caller.